Welcome to Daily Armour. Today, I don't know, I'm going to be in two different places. It's almost like I'm going to be doing two devotions all in one. I recorded a devotion yesterday, ended up deleting it last night. Just when I did it, when I got done with it, Todd walked in and I said, I'm not going to be able to use that, I don't think. I said, I'm not going to delete it yet. Just going to wait and see. And then a few hours later, I was looking at it and I just deleted it. I'm going to start in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse number 20. That's my starting point. I'm probably going to end in Psalms 118, verse number 5, Lord willing. I want to say that sometimes when you think you know what your problem is, that as I do a self-evaluation of myself, sometimes what I think my problem is, I find out really wasn't the source of the problem. I don't know if you've experienced this in your life. I remember the pastor preached on he preached on the verse that talks about the root of bitterness. This has been, probably 13 years ago. Long time ago. I was having a lot of problems. I was having a lot of issues, but the source of my problem was the root of bitterness. I was bitter. I was angry. There were some things I just needed to get over. I needed to stop. And the Lord showed me that. And here again, I'm not dealing with the root of bitterness, but I am dealing with something. I've cried out to the Lord this morning to help me. But when I look back at where I messed up, I even knew when I did it, I'm like, oh, I didn't speak up when I should have spoke up. And I don't know why I do that. I don't know why when somebody asks me and they honestly want to know, and they honestly want to help, that I feel like I am a bother and that I don't want them to go to any trouble. I don't want anybody to go to any trouble for me. I don't want anybody to do something for me and then complain that they're tired and wore out because they had to help me do something. I've experienced that, and that when people say they want to do something and then you let them, then they complain, and I don't know why that bothers me. Because that's not really on me. Anyway, I really don't know where I'm going with this morning. My hair is still wet. My grays are showing terrible. I don't have on any makeup. But I felt like I was going to be lengthy this morning and was worried about, time, which I'm always, having to think about. But let's get into the scripture and we'll just see where I end up. First of all, we'll be in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse number 20. And verse number 20 says, "For ye are bought with a price, therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's." Glorify your body and your spirit, which are God's. I've been bought. I've been purchased. I belong to God. I'm His. He saved me July 18th of 2000. Come and showed me that I was lost and on my way to hell, that I was trying so hard to get to God. But He showed me that He was the one that had to come to me. That a lost person, a dead person can't do anything about their situation. And spiritually I was dead. And I needed the Lord, that even the devil that evens believe, and you're just a believer. And that's what He shared with me that Monday night, that He saved me, that He saved my wretched soul. And I cried unto Him, Lord, I need you. And today I'm crying to him, not for salvation, because I'm his, but I'm crying to him for help because I saw something about myself that, I really don't know how to, I can't fix it. I don't know how to fix it. I'm asking him, and I may even share the prayer that I prayed as I wrote it out this morning. I may even share that before the devotion's over. I'm not sure. But I messed up last night, but I didn't really mess up last night as much as I did like a week ago or however long it was. And I'll explain a little bit more of that here in a minute. But you are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit. So what I do to this body, what I allow this body to be exposed to, be involved with, has an eternal effect. And internally in my spirit, when something is bothering me, when my brain is saying one thing, when my heart is saying something else, and what comes out of my mouth, and I'm not talking about saying something ugly. For me, it was more of I didn't speak up. And I'll explain a little bit more of that here in a minute as well. I'm so sorry. It's probably a terrible devotion today. As I was reading this 1 Corinthians 6:20 yesterday morning, I had found a little note. I think I had wrote it down several weeks ago. And it was on the table in the playroom. And I don't know how it got where it was, but I just felt like when I saw it laying there on the table, that I needed it. That he was reminding me, you're bought with a price, which means I have access to him, which means that I can call unto him when I need him, when I have a question, when I don't know what to do, when I'm like, Lord, I understand I have this problem, but I really don't know how to fix it. And as most problems that we have, when we try to fix it, we're trying to do it on our own. But when we come to him, he knows how to help us. We just have to wait on him. And so that's kind of where I'm at today. I've cried out unto him this morning with going back to where my true issue started, and asking him, how do I fix this? How do I correct this? Lord, I don't know. I even asked Todd this morning, I said, how do I fix this? And he's like, I don't know. But I really wanted his outside opinion on, what he would recommend. And maybe he'll ponder on it. Maybe the Lord will give him something to share with me. Maybe the Lord will show me something in his word, because so often he does. I mean, he did today. He has today. He's helped me today. I'm not upset. I'm pondering on a lot of things. I'm looking for him. You don't have to have everything figured out. You can be waiting and wondering and pondering and looking for him to help you and to give you an answer. And as I was doing that yesterday with this 1 Corinthians 6:20, I went back up to where it really starts talking about the body of the believer being a temple, being, this purchase. I'm a purchased person. I've been purchased by Jesus Christ. I belong to him. He is my redeemer. He has redeemed me. He's redeemed me with a price. And I'll say that price, even in the Bible dictionary, it says honor, precious price, a fixed price. And I loved that when I read that fixed price, because that price was fixed. Sin brings death, and the cost of sin is death. It was going to my sins caused death. That was the price. That was essentially the fixed price that was decided, that was the only thing that was going to be able to redeem, to purchase, for me to be purchased because of my sin. Death had to take place. And Jesus said, I did that for you. It's available to you. You are whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And I did that Monday night. I called out to him, and I'm so thankful. And I received that salvation, that freedom, that liberation. I received all that. Now, my responsibility is to be conscious that I belong to him, and therefore it's not about what I want. It's not about making decisions, what I want for me, but it's what does he want for me. And that's a lot of what he's been showing me this whole past year, very early in the year. And so then I went back and I went back up here to this verse number 12, which really helped me tremendously. Verse number 12 says, all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Now, as the Lord has freed me from some things this year, freed me from really the control of sugar. Sugar was very controlling to me. I could see dessert, and you can ask my mom. From a young child, I didn't care about what I ate. I was trying to get to dessert. I didn't want to eat so much of this. I was ready to get to dessert. Give me dessert first. I was very controlled by that, and I was very out of control by that. And God freed me from that. But as I did yesterday, realized that the sugar really wasn't the problem exactly. I mean, it is, and I ate some sugar yesterday. I didn't eat much, but I did eat some sugar yesterday. I have elbow aches this morning. Actually writing out my prayer was difficult because my hands they're not really hurting. They just feel stiff. And even like holding my pencil after extended time of writing out my prayer to the Lord, it was kind of achy this morning. So I feel kind of achy. I feel congested this morning. It's amazing the inflammation that sugar causes me. May not cause you that, but it causes me inflammation. Causes me pain. I have a headache this morning, so I really feel rough. But the source of my problem was not that I ate the sugar, because the sugar really didn't have any control. I felt like I was being polite. That's the source of my problem, is that I am not that being polite is a problem. That's not the problem. Is that I was asked to come to dinner, and I was asked, is there any, do you have any, anything you don't like, and I could have, and for me, I was like, don't be rude, Teresa, just whatever's fine, and that's what I did. I didn't speak up and say, well, it's no big deal, but I don't eat sugar and I don't eat starchy food. I don't eat, I try not to eat any starchy food or high starchy food, and I try to avoid sugar at all costs. That's all I had to say. And I didn't say it because for some reason I felt like that was rude, and I would have been being trouble for somebody, that was being nice, and they would have been like, oh, I wish we wouldn't have invited them. Oh, I wish that we, now I have to think about, I didn't want to be any trouble. I don't want to be any trouble. But yet I'm trouble. But yet I'm trouble to the Lord all the time. And so I was able to avoid a lot of starch, and it was wonderful. And then the dessert, what I realized is it didn't have a pull on me. I was fine not having it. I was so thankful that I didn't have that pull, because I'm going on a cruise in a few weeks, and like 2.5 weeks. And I'm like, I'm going to be around all this, stuff that's normally for me, I would have just gained 20 pounds, because that would have been all I would have cared about, just give me ice cream and we'll call it a day. I'll fill up on ice cream or something, but I don't, that's not what I fill up on now. And even looking at it and then even eating it, I was like, this is really good, but it's really not, I didn't feel good eating it. Like, it was very, very good. Very, very good. Top of the line food. But it wasn't expedient for me. And let's get into verse number 12 a little bit. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. What does that word expedient mean? When you think about expedient, if something is expedient, it's gonna, the Bible definition said to contribute in order to help is, am I going to be arrested if I eat sugar? No. Is God going to take his hand off of me because I ate sugar? No. He loves me, and he has showed me what's healthy and what's not healthy for me. He has showed me the source of my inflammation, and that is sugar and starch. That it gives me anxiety. It gives me inflammation. I hear the congestion. I feel the pain. I am fasting today, and I will flush it out of my system. So it's not an issue of, yes, I can make those decisions. Yes, I can do that. Yes, most people can do things in moderation. There's things for me that I really just need to stay away from, because it is not expedient for me. It's not about a moral issue. That's not a moral issue. Whether I eat sugar or not, it's not a moral issue. I'm not in trouble with the Lord morally. I am putting my body, which is his, through pain, through anxiety, through discomfort. I'm not going to be near as efficient today. I'm going to be draggy today. And the same can be said whenever you choose all kinds of different things that are going to put your body in and it's going to put your body in not a healthy situation. There's there's just so many scenarios. I can't even think of, all of them by no means. But and as this devotion is probably being hindered, because I'm congested, I don't feel well. I'm blessed. I'm telling you, it gets better. It gets better. Especially if we can get to Psalms 118, verse number 5. But all things are lawful for me. It's not a moral issue. But are they expedient for me? And what I realized I was so worried about, okay, if there's starch, if there's sugar, just say no. And I didn't have a problem, really. That draw wasn't there. It was, what did I find out? It was that I didn't want to speak up and say I don't eat sugar. I didn't want to embarrass themselves. I guess I was embarrassed to admit that, because I didn't want to put anybody out. I didn't want to but I should have spoke up the week before when I was asked. And why didn't I do that? I don't know. But in my prayer letter this morning, I have asked God to help me and to grow me in this area. And that's my challenge for me is, Lord, I'm seeking you. And I addressed him this morning as my father. Like, Daddy, I needed to crawl up in your lap, and I needed you to help me. Like, why can't I, what if somebody, like, if I share, I'm going to share with you right now. And it's easier because you're not here in front of me to like, oh no, Miss Teresa, that's terrible. Oh no, Teresa Gail, what are you doing? I eat keto. I eat the keto way. That's kind of what I do. It makes me feel better. I have to make sure I get more protein. I would say I'm even ketovore, where I'm more carnivore than I am even keto, which is another extreme way to eat and think. But my body is feeling better, and the inflammation is tremendously different. I eat more protein, meat, eggs, some cheese. I will eat some dairy. I don't eat a ton of dairy, but I will eat dairy. I need the fat. And then I need a little bit of vegetables, like salad and broccoli and asparagus. And these is the way I eat. And I'll get a lot of backlash about it. And I don't know why it bothers me. And I'm asking God to help me with that. Help me to not worry about people's opinions or their sarcasm. I've gotten so many sarcastic, remarks. And really, sarcasm is just a way to trying to hide your rudeness. You're being rude, and you're trying to hide it by kind of like a half joke, because it's really not a joke. Oh, I was just kidding. I was just teasing. No, didn't really feel that way. It felt more like an insult that you were laughing, not with me, but at me. And I'll just be honest. I seem to try to avoid those situations at all cost, where I'm going to either hear later that, somebody's complaining because they're participating, when I feel like if people would participate and everybody joins in, that's why I try to tell my kids, when we would, clean the house together or work on a project outside together, work in the yard or build something out there, if we all pitch in, it's even fun. I'm one of those crazy people who loved school and who loves to work because I think work is fun. And when I clean my house, I have music blasting and I'm having fun with it. And I just think that everybody would have fun. My kids were like, Mom, you're crazy. This is not fun. I'm like, but we can make it fun, because there's so many things in life that are it's just part of life. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. And so I look at that, and then, but not everybody views it that way. A lot of people view it like, this is a waste of time, or I'm wore out and I'm give out. And maybe that they have to learn to say, no, I can't help right now. I'm just going through some stuff, and I'll help, when I feel better, when I get better. But for me, I have a problem standing up. And I think I used to stand up for myself way too much. And I even told the Lord this morning in my prayer, Lord, I've went from one extreme where I was immediately saying something and was, like Peter in his younger years, where I just was, gung-ho and would speak up, to where the Lord has trained me to watch my tongue, to be careful what I say, be careful how I say it, to where I've not speaking up very much at all, unless I'm put in that predicament where I have to, like an announcement or, whatever, teaching a class. And then I don't have any problems teaching or anything like that. But, and maybe that's where he, one of the many reasons he had me start doing these daily Armours is he wanted me to be careful what I say, but he still wants me to say some things and share some things and some personal struggles that I'm going through. And I'm going through a personal struggle today, which leads me to Psalms 118, verse number 5, which was actually the devotion that I was trying to do the day before yesterday. When yesterday I was on 1 Corinthians 6:20, but then the day before I was trying to do a devotion on Psalms 118, verse number 5, and I just didn't get to finish it. I didn't get to actually record it. And so I'm kind of doing 2 in 1 today. And so now I'll go to Psalms 118 and look at verse number 5. It says, I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me and set me in a large place. I love that. I called upon the Lord. I called upon the Lord. When I looked up that word called, I'm praying, I'm talking to him. But like I've shared before many, many times, several times, even in one devotion I have said, definitions, if you will look up words that I know what the word called is. That is when I am calling out to him, when I am talking to the Lord and through prayer. But when I looked up the Bible definition, it says properly address by name, which is a twofold, wonderful. I do have access to call unto the Lord. My name for the Lord today was Dear Abba Father. That's how I addressed him today. Before I even looked up that definition, and it went back to, Lord, I have properly addressed you today. You are my Father. You're my Abba Father, my Daddy. I'm crawling up in your lap today. You're showing me so many things through my mistakes that's going to help me in days to come. I called upon the Lord in distress. What's my distress? My stress is seeing that my mistake wasn't really, like sugar isn't such a pull. It's not so difficult. What's difficult? Standing up for myself. Just simply saying, you know what? I would love to come to dinner with you. Don't feel pressured to make a dessert because I don't eat sugar and I don't eat starchy food. Any other, meat, vegetable, and I have done that. I have, felt comfortable doing that before. Maybe it was, I knew the people a little bit better. And I'm like, meat, and, they're like, Miss Teresa, what do you eat? Meat, vegetables, meat, green vegetables, I don't want to be a lot of trouble. Don't go out of your way to be a lot of trouble. That is, for me, that's stressful. That is causing me stress. To share that is causing me stress because I feel like I'm causing somebody else stress. And maybe it goes back to when I was figuring this out. It was very stressful. I was really trying to figure out, how do you just completely eat differently than you ever been used to? This is not, my whole way of thinking had to change. And even going from keto to ketovore, my understanding of what my body needs is more protein and fat and just a little bit of vegetables. And a lot of times I'll just do it with fermented vegetables. I know, crazy, I know. See, I even have a hard time sharing it with you and you're not going to even say anything back. But I called upon the Lord in distress. That's my stress. What's my stressor? Just saying when somebody really truly wants to, have us over and asking, they're asking do you have any food allergies? And I guess I need to treat this like a food allergy, but I'm not gonna, do I have a request? I'm not gonna eat sugar, and, which I did, but I wouldn't have had to if I would have just said it up front. That's my point. You see my point? But and it was very good food. Oh, it was such a good dessert. And one of my top favorites. And what I realized was oh Lord, you have so delivered me from that. My pull wasn't to the food. My pull was at the wonderful woman who had that beautiful grin on her face and had went through so much trouble to prepare this food. And I was not going to take that delight that she was sharing from her. And I wanted to enjoy it with her. And that's what I did. I did enjoy it. And I'm living with the consequences of enjoying it last night. But had I said in advance, then she would have known that, if she wanted to do it, she could do it for her and the pastor. And, it wouldn't have bothered her that I didn't, because I could have said in advance. Is this making any sense whatsoever? Probably not. I called upon the Lord in distress. I have properly addressed him by name as my daddy, as my Father, my heavenly Father. And in my distress, that distress means something tight, something that is trouble, something that is causing me pain and I'm struggling with. And it could be any distress. It doesn't have to be a big, giant calamity. It doesn't have to be something huge. It can be something as simple as, how can I just speak up? How can I say, yes, I do need some help, instead of saying, oh no, I'll figure it out. I got it. See, that's another thing I do, because I'm so worried that I'm going to be causing somebody else pain, harm, distress in their life, that I would rather cause it for myself. But I'm crying out to the Lord, saying, Lord, I need you. And the Lord answered me. How did he answer me? With the scripture, with his word, and set me in a large place. I love that. Set me in a large place. You've heard that phrase, room to grow. There's always room to grow. Literally, but also figuratively, where literally he can set you in a large place. He can put you in he can expand your reach. He can expand your learning. He can expand your area. He can expand your training. He can expand your abilities. And that's what I'm asking him this today, as Lord, expand my ability to be able to speak when I need to speak up. He's trained me and he's teaching me to, keep quiet, and I'm getting better and better and better at that. But there's some balance. I need to be balanced in that. And the moment that I didn't speak up, I knew I should have spoke up. But I missed my chance because I didn't immediately do it. Literally set me in a large place, like physically. He set me in a large place. Upon salvation, he set me in a large place. I've got a mansion. I get a mansion. I have a small house right now, but I get to have a mansion in heaven, and just mind blown. Just literally expansion. And then figuratively, he expanded my brain to understand that, sugar's not your real problem anymore. But what are you going to do when you're feeling pressured on the cruise from the other people that are going to be with you? What are you going to do? Are you going to speak up and say, you know what? I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want to wake up in the morning with my elbows aching me. I don't want to wake up in the morning with a headache. I don't want to wake up in the morning with this congestion and feeling bad and that my joints are achy. I want to stay free of that. And I know that it's going to be strange for the people that I'm going to be with, because they haven't been around me a lot in several months. And probably I look strange the way I eat. I know my kids probably think I'm being weird. I know my daughter thinks I've went back crazy. But she can't get away from the results. But that's what he's done. He has helped me literally, and he's helped me figuratively. And I'm just thanking him and I'm praising him. I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to help me with this distress that I have. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.